This is a Brewster Lychee tree. These trees were planted about 20 years ago, back in around 1990. The Brewster Lychee was the first lychee that was introduced into Florida back slightly before the turn of the century by the Reverend William Brewster, who was a missionary in China. The Brewster fruit is the latest variety of lychee fruit to ripen. They have a large seed, but they have a really delicious, they're very juicy, and they have a wonderful flavor to them. One of my problems, one of my problems when I'm harvesting this fruit is I tend to eat every other fruit that I pick. Anyway, you've all heard the expression, the low-hanging fruit. As you can see, I have a grove ladder here, which I'm about to go up and start picking. When you pick lychee fruit, you pick it with a pruning shears, and what you should do is cut the panicle off about 7 to 8 inches back. It sounds kind of crazy, but the trees that fruit every year are the ones that tend to fruit every year. And the reason for that is trees that produce fruit get harvested, and when you harvest the fruit, you pick it with a pruning shears. Lychees grow in recurrent flushes of growth followed by periods of dormancy. And what you want to do is to ideally, and I'm asked this question all the time, why I have a lychee tree for 5 or 6 years and it never produced any fruit. Lychees must enter the cool months of the year in a state of dormancy, and when they break buds, when the buds are 1 to 2 millimeters, if they're exposed to temperatures less than 68 degrees, the buds will emerge as actual bloom. So, you know, we have a few years of really warm weather during the winter, and we don't get very much fruit. So, by pruning the tree in the middle of post-harvest pruning, as we say, in the middle of July, what you're doing is you're resetting the growth flush clock to a known point in time. And if you plot that on a calendar, you'll see that you end up in the middle of the winter, maybe January to February, where the tree is likely to be breaking buds with new growth. And that new growth, as I said, if it's exposed to low temperatures, will emerge as bloom. You all understand you've all heard the expression, the low-hanging fruit. Well, you can really begin to appreciate that when you have to pick the fruit. And also expressions like don't bet the farm and don't count your chickens before they hatch. Anyhow, what you want to do is, I'm going to go up the ladder here. What we're going to do with this tree is to pick all the fruit, and later on we're going to prune this tree, and we're going to open up the inside of the tree so that sunlight gets in the inside. The lychee fruit forms on the apical meristem, which is the new growth. So that's why it's very important to always prune lychee trees. And when you pick the fruit, you should prune back about 8 inches or so, like so. Nice looking stuff. This Brewster fruit here is very tasty fruit. Not quite the same as the sweet. The Brewster fruit is a very red lychee. Unlike the other lychees, as it colors up, it gets sweeter and sweeter and sweeter, and at the very end of the season, it's at its peak of sweetness. Lychees such as the Mauritius and the Sweetheart, when they start to get really red late in the season, they tend to get dry in the inside, but that's quite the contrary with Brewsters. All right, well, we'll go on up and sample some of this fruit.